Loreen, you are a celebrity makeup artist. Loreen has the most incredible knowledge and talent, and I've asked her to talk today about her opinion on brushes, because not only does she work with brushes all the time, but she has her own brush range, which is the range I work with. Loreen, I'm always asked by my customers, should I apply my foundation with my fingers or a brush or a sponge? And I know what my personal thing is, but what is your advice?
Dot, for me, I'm a brush girl. I always prefer using brushes. The reason, number one, for me is hygiene, number one. If you apply with your hands, from your sweat, bacteria is on your hands, and when you apply your foundation on your hands and onto your face, that bacteria gets onto your face. Another thing, also, it's quite messy, so I prefer a brush. This is a fantastic foundation brush, and this is what you use as well. And the brushes gives you a different coverage, so you can really alternate between a light coverage and a heavier coverage. If you are somebody that prefers a sponge, that again gives you a different kind of texture when you apply. With the brush, for me, it's a wider variety of foundation that you can use, where with your sponges you are basically more restricted using a liquid foundation.
Okay. I must say, I do prefer sponges, but that's just me. I work with both, and I think the other thing to remember with sponges is to always use them damp. Otherwise, you just land it with a lot of caking and not a dewy finish. So there are so many brushes out there, and so often people say, oh, but you know, I can find a cheaper one here or there. What is the most important thing to consider when choosing a makeup brush?
Well, I would say firstly what it is what you want to achieve, and then also for me, if you are somebody that is going to spend money on an expensive cosmetic range, don't buy cheap brushes.
Don't skimp on the brushes.
Don't skimp on the brushes. Because what happens when you buy a professional brush like this, it is cut in a specific way to pick up your pigment properly. On a cheaper brush, sometimes what happens is that it breaks the seal on top of the eyeshadow, and it makes the eyeshadows brittle over time. I'm not saying that it will break the eyeshadow. Also, when you put it on the skin, it applies differently. So your professional brushes, that's why there's a price tag to it. It's because there's so much more development that goes into it than just something that is kind of just put together.
Exactly. And on that point, I mean, I have chosen to stock Loreen's brushes, which are the vegan brushes. But explain to us about the different brush hairs and what does it mean if you've got a brush that is considered to be vegan?
So vegan brushes are mostly synthetic. Okay, that means that it is manufactured in a factory or lab, and these brushes, when you look at a synthetic brush, and you have to know when it's a good quality synthetic brush. When you look at these brushes under a microscope, it is tapered like a normal hair. So you will see that the tips are tapered towards the front, so that picks up your pigment better. A natural hairbrush is animal hair that is sourced and put in. Obviously, there's lots of rigorous sanitizing and disinfecting and everything that happens. People prefer, I wouldn't say prefer, people like synthetic hair because of it gives you that sense of I'm doing good. Alright, so so with the synthetic hair, so you get synthetic hairs that is really blunt, that can scratch the skin, and that causes causes irritation around the eyes, and then also it doesn't pick up the product properly, it doesn't apply properly, so it gets blotchy and so on. So when you feel a synthetic brush, it has to be very, very soft, and you can feel the difference between a well compacted brush towards something that is not compact, because then your product also stays at the top, it stays in the front instead of moving down all the way, where your bacteria then goes and sits at the bottom.
Oh, that is fascinating. And with regard to looking after your brushes and cleaning your brushes, if it's just your own personal brushes, how often do you actually need to clean them, and what would you suggest?
Well, for me, because I'm as you know, I'm a professional artist, I try and clean. For me personally, I clean my brushes every second day. but that is just because I know what goes in there. If you, for somebody from home, I would say if you had a cold,
Yes.
clean your brushes immediately after. If you had any kind of
or like an eye infection or
yes,
something.
exactly. But then I would say at least once a week, and you can have a spray that is an alcohol spray. You can clean and disinfect your brushes, and then what you stock is the brush wash.
Yeah.
And this is what I love, because this is eco-friendly as well. So if it falls over into your plants or anything happens, nothing's going to happen. But also it deep cleans, and it doesn't breaks up any wax-based, any silicone-based products. Because what people sometimes do is that they wash their brushes with sunlight liquid. And with that, the way I see it, you wash your pots and pans with sunlight liquid. I would not use it on brushes.
No.
Because it starts getting brittle.
Brittle, exactly.
Even isopropyl, which a lot of people use, it makes your brushes brittle. over a while, and then it starts breaking and
you're
sitting
landing
on
all
the
the
skin.
bits all over your face.
Exactly. So the brush wash is very moisturizing on the skin, but it disinfects and sanitizes as well. And when you wash your brushes, you have to make sure that when you place it, or because you'll use this and you'll rinse it under the water, you have to put it down flat or a little bit on an angle so that the water runs out. As soon as you wash it and the water runs in, the glue inside the rule is going to dissolve, and either the head or the hair is going to fall out.
I must say that is the best tip you've taught me, because so often you wash brushes and you think, oh, I'll just pop them in the glass to dry, and there's no doubt that the hairs start to fall out quicker.
Some people also use blow dryer or hair dryers. That is a big no-no, because also when you heat up the glue too much, the hair will fall out. So it has to be just lying it flat down. Don't put it in the sun. Don't put any heat on it, because you're compromising the glue inside because at the end of the day, it's glue on wood that is compressed together. But from the heat, obviously the wood can expand and what's the other one? So it goes in and out.
Absolutely. But
so
I must say, even with the sponges, I found when you wash sponges with sunlight liquid or something like that, the same thing. It completely starts breaking apart.
Exactly.
And it's much better to rather do it like that. Loreen, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Loreen's range is amazing. You can buy the individual brushes. I've got my favorites, and she is a wealth of information. So thank you so much for sharing with us. You can go along to my online shop and have a look at the brushes there. You purchase them individually, and if you need my help and guidance, give me a shout. As you know, I do a lot of personal makeup lessons and makeup updates, so we can always bring the brushes into that lesson when we book. But otherwise, give me a shout and I can help you.